A motion to open the meeting at 9:02
So moved.
and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, everyone. First on our agenda is the approval of minutes from the November 14th meeting, which I think Hester sent around, and there was a minor change. Did everyone get a chance to look at them?
Yes.
Any other changes?
Nope.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Treasurer's report for December.
Did everyone get a copy of that?
Yes.
Any questions? We had no gifts this month and just a small number of distributions.
I have a question about the CMLP funds, but I think that's later on our agenda.
That's later.
Okay. All right. A motion to approve the treasurer's report.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. So that's our first agenda item is the CMLP funds. Do we have an update on the status?
Yes, we will no longer be getting funds from CMLP. The new director there talked to the town manager and the town lawyers and we are not going to be getting that anymore. We will be able to make the distributions for that from the Hugh Cargill Trust.
Okay.
So will they be managing their own fund for bills? Is that it?
I do not know what they're doing with they had been giving $10,000 to us to distribute, and I don't know what's going to happen going forward with that.
So I will just remind the group that like the CMLP funds that we refer to with the Hugh Cargill, that's all one account. So that's, all the funds go to one place. So, right, it's not like it was a separate account that would have been managed otherwise. But so I think the concern was that like in terms of municipal finance law, that it actually wasn't legal for the town to be donating money to the trust. And so I think also the hope was, and, Catherine went to the trustees of town donation meeting, and Wendy is also the liaison with the trustees, that there are hopefully just more funds available with the trustees that can also supplement the Hugh Cargill Trust Fund.
Right.
So Shannon, I have a question about that. Our treasurer's report shows the CMLP funds as a separate line item, as well as several others. Is the Hugh Cargill Trust, is that fund just one? What you're saying, are all of these just one number?
That is all one account. We log it separately, but that is all one fund.
So the Hugh Cargill Trust is a separate account.
Right.
And we can get a distribution from that each year that we put into our account. But
what do you mean by our account?
This is how we handle this one spreadsheet is just one account that Shannon that we over time have just divided up into these 4 categories, but it is only one account.
Okay, and so that's what I'm trying to clear up. So our treasurer's report, it's sort of a deeper dive into how we're distributing funds for certain things from where they came from, but they aren't actually separate accounts. It's just one.
Exactly.
Okay.
And
so I understand the CMLP municipal transfer. I understand that now. Okay.
Okay. So that account in our treasurer's report will be going away. Starting next year, we will be putting that line item to 0, and it will go away. So it will simplify our balance sheet, and any requests for CMLP will just go through the Hugh Cargill Trust.
And so the rest of the ones, like property tax relief, same thing. We're tracking it, but it's all in one bucket. Okay, and that one in particular, we ask people when they make donations, how they want us to distribute it. So we do have to track that.
Exactly.
Okay. Silent fund comes from trustees of town donations. I forget what CC is. I'm sorry.
CC is Concord Cares.
Ah, okay. And say,
And that originally started, the churches took up donations.
Mhm.
Long before any of us have been on the committee. And we, the HCT, we did transfer $5,000 to their account. And going forward, I would suggest that the Concord Cares account, we ask the trustees of donations for not Hugh Cargill money, but they do have extra funds in the trustees of donations. So we could ask them when that Concord Cares needs to be filled. Now, Concord Cares is different from our other accounts because it can act quickly. And we actually do not make the selections of people. People don't apply to us for that. Bonnie, the social worker, can do it, the police chief, the fire chief, and they can act more quickly. So we just have that account there because it's where it made sense to park that small bunch of funds.
okay.
And so far this year, there's only been one award year to date for that. So it's not a big, the fire department and police department said they haven't had a request like that in years. So,
Okay.
Is that because people don't really know it exists?
No, they're made aware of it.
Or,
Yeah.
okay.
I think it's sort of useful for us to have, just so we know, so that we hear that the police or the fire or whomever came and took this funding from us. So I like to have that as a category. We don't have to have anything to do with it other than just to realize that it's part of our funding. It goes in a certain direction that we don't control ourselves.
So I
And-
think what happened with the CMLP is an opportunity for us to make sure that all of the monies that we are administering are correctly being received and distributed, and perhaps update the treasurer's report in any other way that seems like it makes sense. But it sounds like that's the only one that really needs to go away, and the others are just our internal tracking. Yes? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thank you for clearing that up. And it sounds like, it's just going to come from a different place, and we won't have to, we don't have any change in the way we receive our requests or make decisions about them. Okay, thank you.
exactly.
Just for clarification for the minutes, can we just go back over that? So the ones that we'll track, but we're not really overseeing are CMLP now and the silent fund, is that what you said? Or was there the other one too?
No, the CMLP is going away. We'll be using up all the funds from that.
Okay.
And then we'll just, nothing else is going to change.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is to review and update the calendar. I sent around something that I had drafted as a result of several previous meetings. And just for your sort of information, I use that calendar to take a look at what needs to go on the agenda, or maybe sometimes we make a change to when we're going to do something, like we decided to push the annual appeal a little bit. It's kind of a working document, so I don't know if we really need to make a final, I don't think we need to do a hard review or a vote on anything. It's just, I just created it when I became chair to try to give us a structure during the year. So if we want to look at it today, we can. I feel like we're sort of tight on time with a lot of things. So if there isn't anything major that, that felt like you wanted to change.
I think we all just need to review it for the
Yeah.
things that we do.
Right.
But
Yep.
it doesn't need to be done as a group.
I agree. And actually, one of the things I was going to do that I didn't do was put next to each of those items, who does it. So maybe on your own time, take a look at it, note what's your role, and send it to me, and then I'll update it. Does that sound useful? Okay. All right. Thank you. The annual report is a template and we fill it in every year at the very last minute because we need all the data all the way to December 31. So I sent that around just with kind of a red underline of the things that we fill in. And I think probably Catherine, you and I can fill that in.
Yeah, after I get the spreadsheet
December.
in January.
Right. Okay. Did anyone have anything about the annual report that either was confusing or they felt we could update or? No? Okay. It's the same every year. I just took it from Judy and pretty much just move it along. All right, awesome. Moving right along. I made a draft of the annual appeal. Lucy sent me one of the sort of a thank you, and we're gonna put probably one more. And this, we decided not to have it all happening during the holidays when a lot of people are having requests in their mailbox. So again, if the people have something specific they want to change about the draft that I put together with Lucy's input, and then when Lucy has another one or two, I'll add them.
So I would just mention that several people have said to me, I haven't received the request for funds. And it's the year end and why haven't I? And I said, well, we're going to do it in the spring. So people think the calendar year. And so they're sort of, saying, too bad, that we can't do it. So.
Well,
with
but
on their
they-
part.
They can donate before the end of the year if it's part of a plan that they have in place for their.
Not a plan, but they like Hugh Cargill Trust, so they sort of look for it.
Good, that's great. Judy, Terry had mentioned to me that we send it out. Occasionally we send to the entire town, which is this year's timing. And then other years we send just to prior donors, which would be next year. So it will be a full townwide mailing in the spring. And I think that was also in discussion last time. It's easier on the town as well if we're not doing everything in December.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
So Lucy, send me another.
I will. Lots of letters of praise.
Yeah, it's
So I'll
not
send-
hard to come up with them.
No.
Great, all right. There were two property tax relief applications, and I'll go into more detail during our executive session of new requests for property tax relief. So I'm moving. It was, as I mentioned in the email, it was not intentional to be this quick, but at the end of the day, that's how it is. I've already made my purchase of my new property, but I have not yet sold my Concord property. And after speaking with Shannon and Wendy, there is some leeway by the suggestion of the chair, which can't be me since it's me leaving, about when I would stop serving on the committee. So I guess the first thing I wanted to chat about was just who would take my place. And I have not reached out to her, but I was hoping to reach out to Kristen, who had been very interested. We were incredibly lucky to have two amazing applicants. So hopefully she's still interested. But all of us should be thinking about who would fill my seat. And then also the transition of the chair role to someone new, which needs to happen anyway, because it's just time. Usually it's every year and I've been doing it for two, so it's time to move that position to someone anyway. I'm certainly going to be at the January meeting. So between now and then, I would just suggest we all think about people that could take my place and also who as a member and also who would take over as chair, because that person, once chair, can then make a recommendation of how long I remain on the committee. And I am willing to do what's best. I want to do what's best for the committee. So I'll stay on the committee. And even when I'm no longer, I'm going to be available for as many questions and, anything that will facilitate the transfer of files and sort of institutional knowledge or whatever you want to describe it as. Anyway, so I'm feeling sad about it because I love this committee, but also it's a really great new chapter for me. So I'll stop talking.
So I have been thinking about this.
Mm.
And I have a number of thoughts, but we'll also have a vacancy coming up for intake. And I feel that when we look for a new person, we need to find someone who is committed to the role of intake and what it encompasses. And I can tell you from this past month, we have only 3 applicants this month, but one of our major recipients died. And it hit all of us in town. All of us have been administering help to this family. And it's very personal. And I think that one of the beauties of Hugh Cargill Trust is that we know the people, they know us, and we work with all of the agencies together collaboratively to make sure we can make the biggest impact when someone's in need. And the town has stepped up in a major way, and we all have. And so I would like to make sure that whoever takes over is going to really want to know the recipients, not completely, obviously, but to be responsive in a compassionate and thorough way. So I'm a little concerned about the ideas for the structure recommendations on the intake role. When I took it over, I simplified it. I actually made Shannon's job much easier because in the old days, all the applicants would have to go to the townhouse, give all the papers to all these people that were preceded Shannon in her role. And, they just had folders of papers that related to us. So I cut all of that out. I've done it all online, and Shannon gets it at once after our meeting, correct, Shannon? Are you there?
Yeah.
I think I tried to make it as simple for Shannon, i.e. the townhouse person, whoever does it, as possible, so that they don't suddenly have a job taking care of us. So I've tried to minimize, at least as far as writing checks and getting paperwork and all of that. So there is, still paperwork for the person who does this. There's a lot of record keeping. There are forms that you don't even see, that I don't send you, that I file just to make sure that we've got everything right to the last penny. And so that's my thinking at the moment. I also have been thinking about transition, and I would like to say that I think Catherine would be the best leader for our organization. She's been with us. She's very smart. She has a lot of great executive experience. And I think she's the perfect person to take over. So that's my recommendation.
Do you mean for chair, Catherine? Or
Yeah.
yes, I feel, yeah.
Chair.
So you're, thanks for bringing this up. We were also looking for a new member for you as of the April town meeting.
Right.
Although there's, in the past, it's gone a few more months if necessary. Yeah. So
I would like to focus on trying to find somebody who would really be committed to the intake role. Because I think
I'm not sure a new member can jump into that role. I mean,
I think anybody could. I jumped in.
Okay.
I was given, 3 weeks and I was doing it. So And Susan Eckel picked me out because she said she thought that I was sort of like her in how we would approach the mission. It's the mission, and our mission extends more than just sending out a check because, you know, we got a form, and it's really has to do with the humanity of Concord in all of our parts. And that's what's so wonderful. And I can tell you the feedback I get from all of our recipients. They talk about the high school, they talk about everything about how wonderful Concord is and how generous all of the, you know, COA, Community Chest, St. Vincent de Paul. I work very closely now with St. Vincent de Paul. We pass things back and forth and try to help each other so that we can make a bigger impact on these people in need. And it's very it's a wonderful Concord outreach. So that's how I view the role of intake. And I know that's not what Jill and Hester came up with, but it's really how I feel about it. I've been thinking about it. I've tried to rewrite the job description, and I just feel it's important for us to carry on and live up to what is, I read the mission statement this morning, and it's all in there. So
Do we want to move into that topic of the review of the intake role?
no, but I thought we had to be public about it. So that's the only reason I brought it up, so that Wendy and Shannon would know what was on my mind, because I think it's pretty important at this point, especially Elizabeth is leaving, and, you know, we need new leadership, and we've got 2 new people, and Hester's very busy with her work. And Jill's got huge talent and interest, and it's exciting to have her on board. And but anyway, it's sort of a period of transition for Hugh Cargill Trust, in my view.
I don't know if it provides any comfort, but I have a lot of confidence that the committee will transition very successfully. We have incredible members on the committee, and the potential for some incredible members to join the committee. I don't want you to worry, Lucy. I think that
I'm not worried. I'm not. I just think it's an opportunity for us to kind of
Yes.
assess what we want, where we are, where we're going. And I'm not thinking of big changes at all. I'm just time to, since 2 people will be leaving, you know, it's a time of transition.
I'd suggest that we wait till Hester can join this conversation. She and I went through this process of revising this or suggested revisions. I know that, you know, she said that she thought she would take on this role, coming in with her social work background. But as it was described, it was a bigger task than she had anticipated and didn't have the room for. And I don't want to speak for her. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to misrepresent what she said during our conversations, but which is why I think we should wait till she's here to hear how she feels like it should, you know, also be streamlined. You know, it's something that can continue on with the heart that you put into it. And yet also that makes sense, not just for the town staff that has to manage it, but for whoever takes this on as a volunteer. So I would, again, suggest that we wait till she can join that.
I agree, totally.
Yeah, I'd like that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be on our January agenda. And maybe we have that meeting in person. What do you think about that? It just seems like a discussion that would be easier in person. Does it matter?
I strongly advocate for in-person meetings. I think if we're passing on a lot of institutional wisdom and what we know, it's much easier to have those conversations in person.
Yes, and I think when you were all interviewing me, somebody handed me the big folder of history, which I was able to go back, and I was like, that folder is really, I can share that if we're in person. I can't share it with you now, you know.
Right.
So
Wendy, I see your hand. You can always just jump in, but go ahead.
Well, I'm trying to respect your committee process. So,
Thank you.
so
Thank you.
Elizabeth, I just want to say thank you for all your leadership. I know that your change is sort of abrupt, but also just want to let the committee know that the town rules and regulations would allow you to stay on until May, but it's really a personal decision in your role because you're got something new in your life going on. So that's really your choice, but wanted the committee to know that. The other thing I just wanted to mention, and I know Catherine knows this, was that I hope in a future agenda meeting, you guys will talk about potential funds that are available, because based on the meeting with the trustees, it's also clear that there's more funds that are available. And I know, Catherine, there was a discussion about potential outreach to caregivers, because we should get the word out that there might be more funds available, and it might also ask the Hugh Cargill Trust to talk about what limits you apply today to your funding, et cetera. So just want to mention that that's something else for your agenda, which, outreaching to the caregivers. I don't know if you do that regularly, but that's another topic for your transitions that are going on with the committee and might impact your outreach for fundraising appeals as well. So
Yeah.
that's it. Thanks.
And also, I mean, with our maximum in quotes of $1,000 a year, life has changed.
Correct.
Dollars isn't very much now.
Right.
Right.
I think after meeting with the trustees of donations, I think we really can up that number. And maybe to help us, we rely on some of the community caregivers to be a second, a second look at the request, or the family making a request would be a way for us to up that number.
Yeah, I mean, the funds are available, so I hope you do everything you can to get the money out to those who need it. So that's my point. So, but you're all doing great work. So thank you for thinking through all these tough issues.
I just want to say I've been on a lot of committees in town, planning board, finance, and this is by far my favorite. It's such an important committee, and I think we accomplish such incredible things in the community. So, okay, so I've been scribbling notes about January's agenda. I would say to this month's meeting has been the most complicated because everything is happening at the same time right now. But by January, I think the dust will have settled, and I feel pretty comfortable staying through May if that ends up being what works best for the committee. I also don't want it to interfere with a qualified new member joining. I don't want someone to say, I'd like to do it now. I don't want to wait till May. So but we can address that at each meeting.
Well, they could attend our meetings, whoever comes
Mhm.
to get up to speed, and then officially join at a later time.
Yeah.
Or is there a maximum number of people that can be on it? I don't remember seeing that there was a limit on on how many are on the committee.
I think the charge says 5.
Okay.
I mean, I can verify it, but I'm pretty sure the charge says 5.
Yeah, it's 5.
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Right.
That doesn't mean if you guys think that you want associate members, that's a possibility. So you're struggling to find members. So but I just want to comment, you could consider a change to your charter. But I don't know if you want to do that actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting idea. Some years we have more members applying, more people applying than we have room for, and sometimes we struggle to find them. And that's an interesting idea, though.
And one of the things in our charter that I was noticing this morning was that we're supposed to spend down our monies and save $300 as a cushion. And I thought, wow, we've strayed from that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I haven't looked at the chart in detail in the last month or so, but there seems to be language that allows for some amount of at our discretion.
Yes.
So, and I think we did that on purpose when we were first considering changing the limit per year. We just left it as at our discretion, and there are times when we have granted more. So,
Yeah, I think this should be a topic for the January meeting, is how to get more of the money that we have out there, especially since we're doing a big fundraising. We need to distribute more each year from the Hugh Cargill Trust.
Right.
And I can't even ask the Hugh Cargill I can't ask for the distribution from the Hugh Cargill. It's about $25,000 a year that they have available to give to us to distribute, because we have so much of a balance at this point.
Right.
So I think we do need to think long and hard about how to be effective and getting more larger grants out there.
Mhm.
And I think we'd have to do that in combination with the town caregiver, with other town caregivers, rather than us making big distributions.
Mhm.
Well, we have been doing it with others, and that's
Right, but we have the funds to give, to add
more,
more to that each year.
yeah.
And I think the property tax relief is an opportunity. It's relatively new. I mean, it's not new, it's been several years, but just from my experience in real estate and you know, data analysis of our assessment database, I think there are significantly more people who could use the support and just don't know. So that, I think that's an area we can definitely be finding to distribute more of our funds.
Yeah.
Catherine, can I just jump in on that topic? The
Yes.
select board is going to be creating a sort of an RTE sort of follow-up committee to look at the impact of the RTE, but probably more importantly, how do we address the needs of our citizens who are struggling with real estate tax, but just taxes in general? And the challenge we have is that the benefit programs we have are really geared toward sort of our elderly residents. And I
Mhm.
personally would like to talk to you offline about some opportunities, if there are some, to how do we get a better handle on how many people are in need, and how could we address that? So, you know, we could actually talk about it as an agenda item, but I'm interested in just getting a little more background on where some of that need is and how we could measure it.
Yeah.
This is real estate need, or
Well, it's
other
real estate taxes
taxes?
in particular. So,
Yeah, especially
So-
with the implementation of the residential exemption.
right.
And that is recent. So there's
Yeah,
there's a lot going on that
Yeah.
multiple
wondering,
perspectives help.
Yeah, we'll know when we do the fundraiser in the spring, how
Mhm.
much money we get into the account, because that the property tax relief is not self-sustaining unless we get donations to that.
That's right. Yep.
I'm sort of interested in just the demand for the need. So, but I hear you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Wendy. Catherine and I had a discussion about the treasurer's report distribution, and I just wanted to ask everybody on a monthly basis, when we are distributing the documentation that we're reviewing, I'm wondering if we want to have the chair probably assemble everything and send it out all together, or whether we want to leave minutes to come from the clerk, and treasurer's report to come from the treasurer. If people have a preference around that, we did have a discussion about it a time back, and thought that we didn't want too much repetition of information going around by email. But it was more, I think we were thinking around confidentiality. But I mean, the treasurer's report and the minutes, even before they're approved, I believe are, someone can request to see them, the drafts, before they're approved. So things like minutes and treasurer's report, I feel like we could just have them come from one person, and just wanted to put that out there as a discussion.
I think if we wait too long, we sort of forget, and it doesn't have the same impact. I mean, I'm interested, I like to see them. And so we had to wait a long time for this meeting this month. I practically forgot everything that happened last month. So I hate to wait until you send out, here's the link, here's
Mhm.
10 different documents, and we're going to discuss them on on Tuesday. I think I'd rather have them sooner than later. That's
So
just,
you're saying it'd be more helpful to have things come out, like the clerk sends the minutes when the minutes are drafted, and okay.
And then we just.
I like that too, yeah. And the other option, which we haven't discussed, is, these documents can be in a shared Google folder for all the members to just go look at. Like the calendar could be something that I mean, I store all my files in Google. There's lots of ways to share files. That might be another way, because then
I
rather
don't.
than sending them around, but no, okay, let's.
Right, and I would say that I would prefer that actually. So then I could go in at any time and see it, and it's all in one place, and there's historical record, it's all there. So to me, that's a far more efficient and a way of seeing things and comprehensive. So
I refer to that folder all month long.
Right.
I might make a tweak to my note. I make a copy of the agenda and I put my notes in it, or I look at the treasurer's report and think that, if I had a question or, well, why don't I just put that on as a discussion? It doesn't mean everybody has to do it that way, but it might just be a new, going forward, a new way to make documents available.
Catherine, can I just make a comment? You have to be careful about those Google Docs because you can't collaborate. It would be an open meeting law violation. You can only share read-only documents.
Yes.
So make
correct.
sure it's not, so as long as
Yep.
you're following the rules. Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, thank you.
Tricky.
Yeah, I was gonna make the same comment, but also so that's a tricky thing about it. But one
Yeah.
benefit of this is also, all of these committee documents are town record and public record. And
Yeah.
when people roll off the committee, this would be an easy way for me to know that, okay, if I need to access whatever that was, someone can pull it for me. It's just it would be an easy way for the town to also still have access to some of these records, even when in 5 years, it's a whole new committee.
So Shannon, this is a very interesting point. If that folder is administered by you or whoever is our liaison to the town, then it also would create better transition. So if someone.
Yeah, so now another layer of this is the town uses Microsoft, we don't use Google. So I wouldn't be able to manage the Google Drive because I would be using a personal email address and not a town email address, which I also don't want to do. But that committees do this. I work with the 250th committee,
Yeah.
and I know their treasurer maintains a Google Drive that I can access, and that's great. But I'm I don't need to log in with a personal email address to be the owner of the folder. But when Bob rolled off the committee last year, I said, okay, Bob, if you have files, just bring them down to the office. And, then I think I gave them to Elizabeth. But, when you all are not going to be on the committee anymore, you can give them to me. And, I can sit down with our archivist and say, are there any of these things part of the record retention law that we need? Because, it's crazy, the financial aspect of your record, some of that stuff we do have to hang on to for a long time. So it's a good way for me to know that we can access some of these stuff versus things just being buried in your email inboxes.
So there's a difference between files that are public and archived by necessity, and files.
Yeah, that's right.
And files that are monthly rotating drafts for review at meetings.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, they're all public record pretty much.
Yeah.
As a town committee, but there are some documents that have no ties to the record retention law and some that do.
Okay. I'm going to reach out to you, Shannon, and get together offline.
For sure. Yeah. And Nate Smith, our town archivist, is very lovely to work with and is always willing to help people transfer documents, even if they're just buried in your inbox or whatever. He's very willing to help with it.
Okay, great. Thank you. That's all I have for our meeting today, except verifying member attendance for next month and whether we were in person or Zoom. So we've decided we'll do in person. I can make next month's meeting. Everyone else, yes?
Yes.
So I
Okay.
think we should be prepared to stay longer than, I mean,
Next month? Yes. Next month will be a longer meeting because we're going to
Yeah.
be reviewing intake.
is that
Um,
okay, Catherine? Because I know Catherine has an
Yeah.
appointment.
No, I can stay later.
That's
Okay.
okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, we might make that one an hour and a half instead of an hour. Let me work on the agenda first and see whether we have time for all of it because some might get moved to February, if it's not urgent.
So that's
I've
January
I've
7th.
scribbled so many
14.
notes that I
She
have to,
says January 14 is what
January
you're
14th.
saying.
Yeah.
Right?
January 14th.
actually, that's a good thing to put on the agenda is the actual, oh, it is on
It
there.
is.
Yeah, it is there. Okay. All right, then if I can have a motion to adjourn to our executive session.
So moved.
I think there's a language.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
I move that we adjourn to executive session for the purpose of discussing individuals or families seeking assistance, the disclosure of which would be a violation of privacy.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. See you in a few minutes. Thank you.
Bye, y'all. Happy holidays.